All right, boys, welcome back. Here we are at the end of week 10. We're going to have another recap, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. We're going to dive into the matchups, the top performers, stats, all that. See where the teams are landing at the end of week 10. So yeah, let's dive into it. This one won't be too long. First off, let me preface this right quick. There haven't been many changes to the website. There's some small little quality of life ones, I guess you might say. But for the most part, no big changes. Work was pretty busy this week, but we're still making the video for y'all. So let's get straight to it. All right, starting off with the recap, we have our Week 10 highlights. So starting off with the highest scoring team, Wad Squad with 174.8, which I believe is a new personal high for him. Then we have our lowest scoring team, which was Trust Fund QBs with 102.64. So not too great a week for him. Our closest matchup was Hit the Saquon and Team Daguerre, where Team Daguerre won by 0.46 points. So, like a reception for even negative yards, possibly would have gotten Hit the Saquon to win. And then the biggest blowout was Caleb's Casting Couch over Trust Fund QBs, taking the win by what's that, 64 points, I believe. So, or about 63 points. So, crazy win. Big blowout there. But if we look at the head-to-heads, we have Caleb's Casting Couch, who is now 3-7. Took down Trust Fund QBs, who's 4-6 now. Then Wad Squad doing his thing, maintaining that top status at 8-2 over Never Jamar Chaseho, who's now 4-6. His Saquon is now 4-6 as he falls to Team Dagirin, who now rises to 5-5. Make America Great Again falls to 50 Shades of Brown. Both of them sit at 5-5. And then Master Rage Bader also doing his thing again. Takes down Chef Seth. Master Rage Bader is now 8-2, and Chef Seth is 4-6. So now if we look at some of these top performers, we see right off the bat, we can see that running backs dominated this week. But I guess when we go to QBs, Matthew Stafford of Lamar or Never Jamar Chase put up 26.9 points. Then we have Caleb Williams with 25.1 and Josh Allen with 19.3. And like I said, them running backs went crazy. Jonathan Taylor had 54.6, which is a new league high for this season. Then we have Devon A-Chain, who put up 40.5, and Jameer Gibbs, who put up 38.2. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Jonathan Taylor's on Wad Squad, so that's part of his reason for having his highest score this week. And then wide receivers, we have Drake London of Caleb's Casting Couch with 24.4. Jameson Williams right there behind him with 23.9, and Emeka Egbuka with 23.5. And then when we look at the tight ends, we have Caleb's Casting Couch, Trey McBride, who put up 27.7. Then Tyler Warren with 17.9, and Theo Johnson with 14.5. Kicker, Jason Myers of Team Dagirin put up 15. Tyler Loop put up 13. Cameron Dicker put up 13 as well. And then defense, the Seahawks of Caleb's Casting Couch put up 26.5. The Chargers put up 17.5, and the Texans put up 17. So quite the performance all around. Primarily from the running backs. Big defensive performance, pretty big tight end performance. But yeah, these running backs just really stole the show. And so now let's see where that brings our power rankings and our overall ranking, or standings, I guess I should say. Standings are Ward Squad and Master Race Bader, both at 800. But if we look here at the points for, Wad Squad has 0.08 more points so far this season than Master Rage Bader. So he takes the lead there. And then, like I said, Master Rage Bader in second. Then we have three teams at 500 in the order of 50 Shades of Brown, Team Dagirin, and Make America Great Again. And then we have Never Jamar Chaseho, Hit the Saquon, Trust Fund QBs, and Chef Seth all sitting at 400, and they are ranked excuse me, in order there. And then we have Caleb's casting couch. Yeah, yours truly sitting at 300 down at the bottom. But now if we turn over to the power rankings here, we see we have Master Rage Bader, who's now 8-2, has a plus 10.7 differential. His offense has been wonderful. Him and Jay Water tied for the most points for per game. But the difference there is their defenses. Jay Watt's in second with 8-2, and plus 20.6 point differential. So that's just how things are shaking out right now. And then 50 Shades of Brown, his defense is honestly kind of falling off a little bit. Shocker, truly. But all three are on win streaks, or at least one this week. So it's nice to see them getting things going. And then if we look over here at fourth, we have Never Jamar Chaseaho, hit the Saquon in fifth, Caleb's Casting Couch in sixth. And despite being 3-7, he's found us, or I found myself in sixth place. So maybe this formula needs to be reworked, because I don't know if I like that. I don't think a last place in standings should be in sixth place in the rankings. But no, it's up for I guess modification. If we decide as a league we'd like to modify that, then y'all let me know and we'll get that done. And then in seventh we have Make America Great Again. Eighth we have Team Daigirin. Ninth we have Trust Fund QBs, and 10th Chef Self. All right. Now we're going to transition into the activity, see what played out this past week, if anything. Yeah, so there was a couple waiver ads. This excludes last Wednesday, where all the big waivers were added, but Team Nigerian picked up a kicker, and Master Rage Bader picked up a tight end. And then if we come over here and look at the injury overview, see you have some teams that are pretty banged up, like Never Jamar Chaseaho, Team Nigerian, and Chef Self, all three with 7 injuries. And then we have some that are doing fairly well for themselves, with Wad Squad and 50 Shades of Brown, and honestly Caleb's Casting Couch, who only has 3 and then 2 for the other ones. So yeah, it's let's see if we have any big names out here. 50 Shades of Brown has Tucker Craft out. CJ Stroud is out. Jackson Dart is out. So these are some honestly some bigger names that we're seeing that have went out. Travis Hunter's still on IR. Booty's hurt. Let's see. Jaden Daniels. I heard some good, or I guess some positive news on him, so that it won't need surgery, but we'll see. All right, so next we'll dive into some of these graphs. So yeah, if we look here at the points for, shockingly we see 50 Shades of Brown is pretty spot on with the trend line here, as he nearly has as many points for as he does have points against, and that just goes to show how bad his defense is in comparison to everybody else, because he's been able to put up third most points, but he's went up against the first most points. So unfortunate for 50 Shades of Brown. But then we look at Wad Squad and Master Rage Bader, as they are neck and neck here, like I said, with points. And the big differential there is the defense. Wad Squad's defense has been substantially better, nearly given up, or I guess Master Rage Bader has allowed 100 more points against him. So really interesting to see how that continues to pan out for the rest of the season. And then we look down here. Chef Self no longer has the best defense. So kind of shocking if you ask me. But he's been dethroned as the best defense. And I think that brings Make America Great Again as the best defense. So he's been putting in some good defensive performances and get some stops and turning the ball over. And then Trust Fund QBs is right there behind him. And so is Wad Squad. Honestly, they're very Wad Squad's defense is very high tier. So it's all these 5 teams that are really close. But as you zoom in, you see Make America Great Again has that edge. Trust Fund QBs, Chef Self, Wad Squad, and Never Jamar Chase with our 5 best defenses. And then if we look at our weekly scores for week 10, let's see here. We see the league average this week was 135. So pretty decent league average. I think this is actually our second highest league average. And then we just had some pretty high scores all around. For the most part, everybody was able to perform. And outside of a few lower scoring, like 3 or 4 lower scoring teams, everybody had some pretty high scores. Um, yeah. And then now if we look at the score distribution, um, we see first ones I guess that's jumping off the screen is Chef Seth right here, where his he has a fairly low floor, which is not too good. But he's very consistent when he's not underperforming. He is steadily in that kind of lower tier performance range. But if we look at Make America Great Again, who is our most consistent person, we see that they are really compact and really just consistent. He doesn't have any high highs and he doesn't really have any low lows. So he's got a pretty high low and a really not really, but a fairly low ceiling. So hopefully we'll see a drastic point breakout from Make America Great Again and see if they can get that offense going one week. And then if we look at the most spread out one is Caleb's Casting Couch, with who has, or I guess I have the highest points so far this season, but I also have I believe that's the second or third lowest points scored in a game. So it is the tale of two stories right there. It's crazy how much of a change there can be between my team on any given night, really. But then if we look over at first place, we have Master Rage Baiter, who is pretty consistent, fairly high up there, and consistently just puts in good performances. But I'd say the most consistently high performer is Wad Squad, who has such a really high ceiling, as we've finally been able to see with 174, but a minimum of 122, which is, I believe, the highest floor we've seen so far this season. So shout out to Wad Squad, and shout out to the rest of all the other teams. Like I said, the consistent teams like Make America Great Again. Master Rage Baiters, fairly consistent. And then we got some that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. Um, but yeah, now we're gonna look at some of the matchups for this next week. So one thing I want to note real quick before diving into these uh, projections we have here. These projections are slightly different from Sleeper, so they most likely will not line up. They'll probably be a point or two more or a point or two less per player compared to what Sleeper has. So take it with a grain of salt. This is just what another, I guess, projection group has for these values. So yeah, you can either lean into it or not. But as we dive into our first week, we have Coach Castle Couch versus Team Daguerrean. Pretty big game here, considering Team Daguerrean is trying to make that playoff push. So it'll be exciting to see how this one turns out. Right now, it looks like Gabe's Casting Couch will take the edge with some big performances from C.D. Lamb and Drake London and Drake McBride. But Marvin Harrison's been getting a lot of volume lately. DJ Moore also, prior to his injury, had a really good game. Justin Herbert is always really consistent as well, so that'll be a good game to see over this next week. And then we have Wad Squad against Trust Fund QBs. They both have some players with buys in there, but Wad Squad has some big names on bye with Chris Olave and Jonathan Taylor, two of his bigger point areas, I guess, outside of JSN. But yeah, it'll be exciting to see how this one turns out as well. Trust Fund QBs has, Josh Allen, who can go off any given night. So that'll be really exciting to see. And then we have Josh Jacobs, Justin Jefferson, JSN, who all are expected to have really big games as well this upcoming week. Next, we have Hit the Saquon against Never Jamar Chaseho. Both of these guys sitting at 4-6, and I know they're both pushing for the playoffs. So this one will be pretty exciting to watch as well. Um, right now, it looks like the Saquon will have the edge, but never Jamar Chase has somebody who's on a buy in there. So really interesting to see how this one shapes up and who performs, who doesn't, because Puka Nakua, Matthew Stafford, who's been balling. Let's see, Devontae Adams actually. If he doesn't come back from injury, that'll be hard for Never Jamar Chase to overcome, especially with Pittman being out on bye. And then Saquon Barkley, Jordan Love, some big names in this, and it'll be exciting to see because especially with Wan'Dale Robinson and I believe that was Darius Slayton who is out this week. If Wan'Dale Robinson has, could have a really really big game this week. And then we have Master Rage Baiter versus Make America Great Again. Uh, Once again, another big matchup as we playoffs are right around the corner. But it looks like, based on projections, of course, Master Rage Baiter is going to take the cake with 150.65 points projected. So that'll be really, really exciting to see because projections are always iffy, up in the air. You never know, but Make America Great Again does have somebody on a bye already, so that is not factored into their points. So potentially could be a closer game than we're expecting right now, but big games from both quarterbacks, Dak and Hurts. McCaffrey has been balling out this season. Waddle and Ibuka have been hooping. So has Stephon Diggs, honestly, especially with Booty being out. And then we have Kyron Williams, who's been doing his thing too. So, like I said, it'll be exciting to see how this one turns out. And then our last matchup of the week will be 50 Shades of Brown versus Chef Seth. Battle of the quarterbacks looks like Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. Then two big running backs, Bijan and Achane. And then it looks like Chef Seth has some injury problems. But we'll see what he's able to do with the waiver wire, his bench this week, and hopefully have a pretty good competition between these two. Rasheed Rice looks like he will also be having a good week, another one, as he's been just performing at a high level since he got off his suspension. Then Ted McMillan been balling, but Bryce didn't really have a great game this past week, so maybe he'll be able to turn it around and have a couple of touchdowns for Chef Seth this week. Now we're going to transfer into the awards section. There have not been any updates outside of our highest points by a player. Jonathan Taylor just blew it out of the water. I believe last week it was like 43.3, and he did 11.3 points over that. Wow, what a game. He also managed to get the 5-point bonus we have for running backs in this league. So shout out to him. We have yet to see a 5-point bonus for a 200-yard game from a wide receiver. So that'll be really exciting to see over these next couple of weeks if something like that happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the dashboard dashboard types of thing and recaps. So I know we already looked into some of the matchups next week, but we'll also see what we can find out about a couple of these injury reports that are going to be coming in and see if how that shakes things up. Jackson Dart has suffered a concussion. Not really sure how the Giants are planning to handle this. He might end up sitting for this next week, and if he does, then Russell Wilson will be starting. And yeah, that's just not the best. So maybe Dart will be back for the Giants fans. If not, I would not put any mind towards their wide receivers or Russell Wilson. And then we have Chris Rodriguez, who injured his shoulder. If he is out for this upcoming week, then it looks like Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt might play a bigger role as he's been the primary running back on like first and second down. But it seems like on throwing downs or throwing situations that Chris Rodriguez has taken the brunt of the work. So maybe that'll change. I'm not really sure how that'll shape out. Bam Knight's hurt, so Imari DeMarcado will probably get more carries. And then at wide receiver, Garrett Wilson re-injured his knee. So that is unfortunate. Uh, Hopefully he can get some things figured out and get back before the end of the season, because he's a pretty pivotal point or player for some teams. And then we have DJ Moore, who left in the game, and unfortunately he dropped a 0. Then we have Devontae Adams, who left with what looked like a non-contact back injury. So if it is non-contact, then that might be a little worrisome, because non-contact injuries tend to be pretty sometimes pretty serious. But hopefully it's not bad for him. But like I said, Darius Slayton is out this week, or most likely out this week. So if he is out in week 11, then we could see some bigger games from Wan'Dale Robinson and other receivers. But I know it's going to be Russ. But, Russ put up 400 yards earlier this season, so you never know. Dalton Kincaid also left early with a hamstring injury, so maybe the backup tight end for the Bills might be a little serviceable. I doubt it, though. And then Oronde Gadsden with a knee injury. Doesn't look like there's any more updates on that. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as next week goes. That's pretty much it as far as the recap or breakdown or whatever you want to call it goes. But yeah, shout out to y'all for tuning in. I plan on making some more changes to the website over the week. So let's see how those things go. I was pretty busy with work, like I said earlier. But hopefully I can get in and add some new features for us to look at and dive into. But yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in, and see y'all next week. Okay, I'm back. It is Wednesday now. There just some things had to be said. I forgot to mention something in the video earlier, so I'm adding it in now. And then there's also another kind of big thing that we need to discuss real quick. First off, trade deadline is coming up. It is at the end of this week, so Monday at midnight, all trades are cut off. No more trading. So if you contenders are trying to stack up your team for the playoffs, go ahead and get on that. And if you're trying to build your rebuild, go ahead and get on that as well. So looking forward to seeing some trades this week. And on that same tune, we have, like I said, a blockbuster trade that just went down. Out of nowhere, Team Dagura and 50 Shades of Brown come together and make, like I said, a blockbuster trade. This includes AJ Brown and James Cook, two giant names. So who would have seen this coming? Nobody. But yeah, Team Dagura gets Kimani Vidal, AJ Brown, and a 2027 first. I know Team Dagura has been going for them 2027 first. He really likes that draft class. And then 50 Shades of Brown in turn gets James Cook and Josh Downs. This just kind of bolsters his already high-powered offense, as AJ Brown has been in a frustrating situation. But Kimani Vidal has been pretty serviceable at running back, and Josh Downs is in a situation where he could potentially start to see some increase after the moving of AD Mitchell or Adonai Mitchell. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to go ahead and share that with y'all real quick. So once again, goodbye for good this time. I will see y'all next week. So yeah, thank you for tuning in.